Hello, I'm Elizabeth Ann Stewart, an ILCT faculty member. One of my specialties is spiritually based life coaching. You can learn more about me and about this process by going to my website www.embracingpossibility.com. You can also take 2 courses I'm offering in the fall: Ways of Sacred Listening and Creating Sacred Context, both of which are spiritually based life coaching courses. Well, you might ask, what is a spiritually based life coaching course? Isn't all life coaching spiritual in nature? Aren't all spiritual seekers somehow engaged in transformation? And isn't that the focus of life coaching? I would have to agree with you that all life coaching is, by definition, spiritual in nature, whether or not the person embarking on the journey is conscious of this, intentional about it, or even has a sense of higher power. Any time we engage in the quest for meaning, any time we engage in personal reflection or transformation, then I do believe we're engaged in a spiritual process. You might also ask, well, what's the difference between spiritually based life coaching and spiritual direction? There is a difference. It may be a subtle difference, but I think it's more than just semantics. With spiritual direction, there are 2 people involved. You have the seeker, commonly known as the directee, and you have the director, who really doesn't direct but simply listens. But in common parlance, you have a director and a directee. There's also the cliche that the third party to a spiritual direction session is the Holy Spirit. Basically, what happens is every month for about an hour, the one seeking direction goes to the director or the guide and basically shares with him or her what's been happening on a spiritual plane during the last month. This means not just looking at prayer or looking at relationship with God, but looking at how spirituality affects all of life. And it's more like a narrative, an opportunity for telling stories. And the context one tells the stories in is a context of safety and warmth and acceptance. The director, the guide, the one who really doesn't guide but simply listens, again to repeat that, receives the story, allows a sacred space to happen, a sacred exchange, and in receiving the story basically does soul work, helps care for the soul. So the person who has shared this important story or series of stories feels welcomed, accepted, and experiences God's presence in the unconditional love of the director. Sometimes the director may make some comments here and there, very rarely offer advice, and occasionally perhaps a suggestion, but more often than not it's simply a task of listening and praying with the person who seeks spiritual direction. Life coaching, as you know, is different. Life coaching is about setting goals, having an agenda, and wanting to move from where one is to a different place. Having a path in mind and needing on that path to have accountability, assessment, motivation, encouragement. But what if the agenda is spiritual? What if somebody is not simply interested in self-improvement for the sake of self-improvement, or self-improvement to get a better job or a better salary, or to achieve more in life? What if the spiritual seeker is really interested in living a life that is more intentional, more meaningful, more purpose-driven, more God-related? What if that person is more interested in living out of the divine will, but needs some help along the way? The person, for example, may have some unhealthy habits, addictive habits perhaps, depending on others too much, neglecting the body, neglecting exercise, poor diet, perhaps procrastination. And here's a soul who really wants to progress, not for the sake of improvement as such, but rather for the sake of transformation. And this is where simply go and sharing the narrative with a spiritual director may not bring about the desired results. The spiritual director would express sympathy and encouragement and pray for the person, but wouldn't necessarily help the person in terms of goal setting. That is not what happens in spiritual direction, but it does happen in life coaching. So you can see that bringing together life coaching and spiritual direction into a kind of hybrid allows the spiritual seeker not just the intimacy and the warmth and the self-revelation that happens in spiritual direction, but also the intentionality, the assessment, the ongoing motivation, the goal setting, the evaluation, the seeing how one progresses from one level to the next. What a wonderful opportunity, not just for those who are seeking, but also for those who are offering guidance, doing the coaching. It is a real privilege to be with anyone who's embarked on a spiritual quest of this kind, and to be part of the journey of evaluation, assessment, revelation, the aha moments, and to help the seeker, the one seeking coaching, the coachee, achieve those results is very gratifying, very humbling, and an immense privilege. So I hope you will investigate this for yourself by taking either one of my 2 classes or both of them, or perhaps some of the other classes offered at ILCT in spiritually based life coaching. This is a growing field, a very important field. As people today are alienated from organized religion, they are seeking more and more the spiritual realm on their own or with the guidance of coaches and spiritual directors. Let us be ready to walk with them along the way. Let us be ready to transform ourselves in the process. Let us be ready for the journey. I am. Are you?